Okay, welcome to today's battle report. We're playing a 4-player game today. We're using a slightly modified mission that was used at Adepticon a couple of weeks ago. It involves table quarters. You score 8 victory points if you win the table quarters mission. Each quarter is contested by the number of units in it. A normal unit provides 1 unit in the quarter, and a troop unit provides 2. Dedicated transports provide none. There are another 8 victory points on offer for winning a kill points mission. And the final 4 out of the 20 that it's decided on are using the victory point table in the back of the rulebook. As you can see, this is our table today. We've got kind of like a city bit at one end, a bastion in the centre to mark the centre of the board, and kind of like a rural bit with a funny evil temple on the end. Okay, this is my 1,000 points of, well, they may look like Blood Angels, but I'm using the Codex Space Marines book today. I have a 10-man tactical squad. They have a flamer, a combi flamer on the sergeant. He's also got a power fist, and there is a missile launcher in there. They're embarked on a bog standard Rhino. There's another 10-man squad who's no doubt going to combat squad later in the game. They have a las cannon, a power fist sergeant who's also got a combi melter, a normal melter gun, and they're in a razorback with twin-linked heavy bolters. We have the venerable brother who's armed with 2 twin-linked auto cannons. We have a devastator squad armed with all missile launchers. We have Chaplain Cassius, and finally we have a Thunderfire cannon.
And here's one of the other armies on the field today. It is, unsurprisingly, Tyranids, or they're the most ugly looking Blood Angels in the world. It is 11 Termagants, no upgrades. 16 Hormagants, no upgrades. They're all cheapies. Unit of warriors, 4 warriors, one of whom's got a barbed strangler, and the big blue fella with the ginormous claws is a Tyranid Prime to escort them. Hive Tyrant, Bone Sword, Lash Whip, and 2 invisible Devourers of Brain Leech Worms. These have been developing new camouflage. And a couple of Tyrant Guards to go with him. Mr. Trigon at the back. He's a Trigon Prime, and he's got regeneration. He should put the wind up someone. And a Venom Throat to provide cover saves for these boys for at least 2 milliseconds before it gets hit by a missile. There you go.
Massive Eldar battle force, consisting of an Avatar of Cain.
He's a demon!
He's not a demon, he's a very lovely man. A unit of 6 Wraithguard, with an accompanying Spirit Seer, who is also with a Singing Spear and Enhance. Apologies for the terrible camera work. We have 5 Dire Avengers with an Exarch, Power Weapon, Shimmer Shield, Blade Storm Defend. Another 6 Dire Avengers with exactly the same. 10 Howling Banshees. These are just the stand-ins. There is an Exarch with Mirror Swords, War Shout, and she's acrobatic. And then we're on to the nice gentleman at the back, with his Wraith Sword and Bright Lance.
So we have another Hive fleet also joining the battle. They're led by 2 Tyranid Primes. The first Tyranid Prime is accompanying an unupgraded Carnifex. The second Tyranid Prime is leading a squad of 3 Tyranid Warriors. Both Primes have Bone Swords and Scything Talons. And the Tyranid Warriors also have 2 of them have Bone Swords and Scything Talons, and the third has Bone Swords and a Barbed Strangler. They'll all be hiding behind 15 unupgraded Gargoyles. We have the ubiquitous 2 squads of 2 Hive Guard, and then 2 squads of 15 Hormagaunts. All of the Hormagaunts have got adrenal glands. So we need to roll to see who's on whose team. On a roll of 1 or 2, these Tyranids will be being joined in battle with the Blood Angels. On a 3 or 4, they'll be joining the other Tyranids. On a 5 or 6, they will be joining the Eldar. It's these Tyranids and the Eldar versus the Space Marines and the other Tyranids.
I'm slightly relieved.
Okay, so the sides have deployed. The story for this battle, the slightly contrived story of this battle, is that the Eldar and the Space Marines are trying out their Tyranid control mechanisms and are therefore goading their new Tyranid slaves into battle. The Eldar have won the dice roll and have elected to go second. So the Space Marines and Tyranids have set up along the whole length of this board, edge. And they've got quite a lot, you might be able to see they've got quite a lot in this building as well. No, you really can't see. The Eldar have goaded all of their Tyranids up into this half of their board edge, so they're quite tightly packed. All that remains is for the Eldar and Tyranids to try and seize initiative, and then we'll be moving to turn 1. So on a 6, it's Eldar and Tyranids to go first. Anything else, and it's the Space Marines and Tyranids. It's a 5!
Oh.
Close but no cigar.
Okay, Space Marines and Tyranids turn 1. We moved up in the centre with our Hive Tyrant and the Hormigants and the Venom Thrope. These guys moved over sideways, and all the stuff in this building stood still and shot, unleashing a huge torrent of fire at the massed Tyranid and Eldar bodies over here. 3 missiles cracked into the body of the Wraith Lord but failed to penetrate its bone-hard skin. The poor little Howling Banshees behind suffered at the hands of the Thunderfire Cannon, losing all 4 of their imposted members. Some of the Hormigants also died, but it wasn't the best of turns shooting. We unleashed all the stuff over this side of the board, fired at the squad containing the giant monstrous creature of the Tyranids and his Tyranid Prime bodyguard, but only did a couple of wounds. Not the best turn.
Tyranid and Eldar turn 1. The combined host and horde has run forwards. We unleashed some shooting, but I'm afraid it wasn't very effective. The Hive Guards had a go at the Thunderfire battle cannon, but didn't do anything. The Wraith Lord shot his bright lance at the Rhino, but didn't do anything. And then the Tyranid warriors shot their barbed stranglers at these Tyranid termagants, but didn't do anything.
Welcome to the end of Tyranid and Space Marine turn 2. As you can see, it's gone a little bit better this time. The horde of the enemies are still there, but they're running out of numbers. The gargoyles are gone. The Hormigants are reduced to 1 man surrounded by lots of other Hormigants. The Carnifex and the Wraith Lord remain. The Thunderfire Cannon wreaked bloody carnage upon the enemy, destroying the Banshees, a Hive Guard, and various other sundries, including a few Hormigants on its own. The Termagants in this building fired and achieved nothing. The warriors did a much better job, wounding, well, taking out a handful of gargoyles themselves, along with the Hive Tyrant having a pop and removing a few more. Then the Termagants, which were around behind here, run round and charge into this combat, finishing the job. Otherwise, the last cannon fired at the Carnifex and delivered another wound. That's really it, but the enemy are looking rather thin on the ground and sorry for themselves all of a sudden.
Eldar and Tyranid turn 2. The Swarm continues to move forward. Swarm, host, whatever we're calling them. In the shooting phase, again, we did very little. We continue to pepper shots at the Thunderfire Cannon to no effect. We've managed to shake this Rhino with one of the remaining Hive Guard shots. In the assault phase, the Carnifex and Tyranid Prime avenged the Hormigaunt, but did not arrive in time to save his sorry ass.
Okay, Space Marine Tyranid turn 3. We started off by unloading an awful lot of firepower from the Razorback, the Lascannon squad over here, a load of Space Marines you got out here, and this Trigon that popped up from reserve into the Tyranid Prime and his Carnifex bodyguard. We did very little damage to them in the shooting phase, but then Chaplain Cassius joined with his squad of heroic Marines and charged into combat, slaying both the mighty beasts. The close combat over here didn't go quite so well. The Hive Tyrant charged into the Avatar, used his Psychic Hive Mind powers on him, reduced him to Weapon Skill 1. That combined with his Lash Whip gave him Initiative 1. We thought we were in. Unfortunately, we only did him 1 wound and he did 3 back to us. Not so good. Our Missile Launcher squad landed a couple of wounds on the Wraith Lord. Pretty handy. And all the Hormigants over here were killed by the Thunderfire. There is only 2 remaining, hiding in the building, cowering for their lives.
Eldar and Tyranid turn 3. The Tyranid warriors have begun to snake out from this building. The Dire Vendors have piled into these ruins, and the Wraithguard have moved over to try and take on the threat coming from the right. The shooting phase, the Wraithguard managed to take off half of the wounds on the Trigon, but didn't manage to get that all-important instant death. The Dire Avengers unloaded all their ammunition into the Trigon, but to no effect, they're now reloading. And the Hive Guard and the Tyrant Warriors shot at various things to no avail. The Wraith Lord charged in to try and help out his Avatar buddy. He managed to cut down both of the Tyranid, the Hive Tyrant's guards, but didn't manage to stop the Hive Tyrant himself taking down the Avatar. So now it's the two big guys left to duke it out.
Okay, Tyranid Space Marine, turn 4. Again, we unleashed a torrent of fire. The Dreadnought down here managed to down the last of the Accursed Hive Guard from that unit. Combined fire from these Tyranid warriors. The Devastators in here and the Thunderfire Cannon managed to reduce the big squad of Tyranid warriors on the opposite side to one last model armed with a Barbed Strangler. The Thunderfire also took pot shots at these Dire Avengers, but in a theme for the turn, they were indestructible. Over on this side of the board, we decided to focus fire on these Dire Avengers down here. We unloaded all these Space Marines, Storm Bolter from here and a Heavy Bolter from over here, but only managed to do 2 wounds at the last. The Trigon Prime charged into the Wraithguard unit, not wanting to be instant death next turn by their evil D-cannons. He charged in, did no wounds. They did no wounds back for a drawn combat. You join us just on the last roll of this combat. The Hive Tyrant has failed to wound the Wraith Lord, who only has 1 left, and has taken 1 wound in return. Thus he has lost combat. He only has 1 wound left, so he has to make a fearless check. Let's see if he survives. 3+ save. He's okay.
Eldar and Tyranid turn 4. These Dire Avengers here are desperately reloading, hoping to get more shurikens into their catapults before they're nuked. Over here, these Dire Avengers took a pot shot at the Devastators hiding in this building and managed to kill the Sergeant, but all 4 missile launchers are still intact. This Tyranid warrior has retreated to the safety of the building, took a shot over at his enemy brethren, not doing anything. The Hive Guard here, who's just hanging out doing trick shots, managed to somehow hit these ones over here with his amazing homing missiles and took out one of the Tyranid warriors. We have the 2 combats still raging. The Hive Tyrant bore down on the Wraith Lord, but the factor of the Wraith Lord's extraordinarily high toughness saw him survive. The Wraith Lord missed, and not wanting to be exposed to missile fire in the Space Marine and Tyranid's turn, elected not to reroll with his Wraith Sword to tie the combat. The Trigon managed to take out 2 more Wraith Guard, but there's still 3 Wraith Guard and a Warlock holding him busy. Ideally, they need to hold him busy long enough for the Wraith Lord to come to their aid.
Space Marine and Tyranid turn 5. So, the warriors have run out of cover to start bringing the fight to the enemy, which, as you can see, turned out to be quite a good choice, as all that's left is this poor little Dire Avenger on his own. Between the Thunderfire Cannon and the fire from them, everything else was wiped out. Unfortunately, the middle of the board didn't go quite so well, and the Wraith Lord's exceptional toughness has protected him from the Hive Tyrant and allowed him victory. The Trigon has been working his way steadily through the Wraithguard unit, of only 1 remains, which at least protects him from the fire from that next turn. Bonus. These Dire Avengers are also down to 1 man, an Exarch with no gun. I expect he'll be charging in to visit the Trigon soon, and then straight to hell. Otherwise, the Space Marines are controlling the other 2 sections of the board, and looks good. Although you may notice that only 1 colour scheme worth of Tyranids actually exists anymore. That's right. He's been tabled, folks, so he's in the chair of shame.
Eldar and Tyranid turn 5.
Eldar turn 5.
Well, technically Eldar turn 5. Hey, I'm still here. So the Exarch and the Wraith Lord have charged in to attack the Trigon. The other Exarch has no weapons, so he's got Power Sword and Shimmer Shield. He doesn't particularly fancy taking on an entire skyscraper full of evil bastards. So over here we charged in. The Exarch took a swing but didn't manage to wound. The Wraith Lord managed to swing and take a wound off of him. The Trigon attempted to get the Wraithlord back, but didn't do any wounds, so we won that combat by 1. We've decided to call the end here, so the Eldar control this table quarter, the skyscraper full of Nazis control this table quarter, and we have a smattering of Marines across these other table quarters. The Marines and Tyranids are also way ahead on victory points, kill points, so that's game to the Space Marines and Tyranids.
MVPs.
The most valuable players are, of course, the Thunderfire battle cannon, which destroyed probably about 50% of the casualties that the Tyranids and the Eldar took, and the Wraithlord, who bravely took on a number of monstrous creatures who were substantially more expensive than him, but came out on top.